Fife Property market update, and this is for the week 25th to the 31st. What's great about today's show is we're also going to do a roundup of January. We have done the first month of the year of 2026 and January is done. So that means we can pull the data and really have a look at what was taking place in the Fife market for the first year of 2026. Because we're into February, can you believe it? But it's great because obviously week on week we can give you the facts and figures. We do say 1 week doesn't make a trend. So actually being able to pull a month's worth of data gives us a really good insight. And I've had a little sneak peek and it backs up what we have been saying week in, week out about selling your property in Fife now. As always, we're going to start with the weekly statistics and then we will move on to the months. What I will say is if you have any questions at all, any comments, feel free to put them on this video and we will absolutely come back to you. We love to hear from you, obviously. And if there is anything to share, please do reach out and we will respond back to you. But let's start with last week's figures. So they should be up on the screen for you just now. So this is from the 25th to the 31st. This is broken down into micro regions. And straight away off the bat, you can see 125 new properties were made available last week. So this is on Rightmove, all agencies that advertise on there. So 125 new properties made available versus 129 properties having offers accepted on them, meaning they are sold subject to concluded missives, which is fantastic to see because yet again, that is another week where more buyers were in the marketplace than sellers putting their properties on the market. So demand is outstripping supply. And that is what we've been continuing to see. And this is what any local agent will be able to tell you. Anybody that is an expert within the Fife market will be able to say that there are more buyers in the marketplace than there are properties coming available. So when everybody thinks that the winter months and these months are the doom and gloom and now's not the time to sell, you have to wait till spring, summer because buyers aren't there. Absolutely not. And this just shows you in black and white why now is a fantastic time to go because there is active buyers in the marketplace. Now, for those that are wondering, well, how can there be 29 versus 125? It doesn't mean of that 129 that it was the 125 that hit the marketplace last week. It means properties that were perhaps on the week prior, the months prior. We are getting through any older stock, which again is great to see because it means we're working through any backlog. So it means that we are continue to churn and keep in the marketplace ticking over, which is fantastic to see. Now it is broken down into micro regions. Now you can see that there. Now what I will say is if you are in one of these particular areas and you are considering selling, or perhaps you're even on the market and you're wondering obviously what average selling time is like, what things are going for in the area, then please do reach out to us. We will absolutely discuss it with you in more detail. But this is just your snapshot because I also don't want to bog you down with so much information because obviously we're keen to get to the January statistics. But you can see Cooper had a really strong week last week in terms of getting offers accepted, which was fab to see. Obviously, we are getting through any of that older stock. So 14 properties had offers accepted on them, which was absolutely great. And it means obviously we are working through any backlog because bearing in mind Cooper is anything KY14, KY15. So it is quite a big radius when you think it stems to like Strathmiglo, Muckty, etc. It's not just Cooper itself, it's all those surrounding villages. East Snook, even Stevens, you had 4 new instructions versus 4 properties sold. So that's great to see. Average for the East Snook is anything from kind of 6 to 9. So yes, 4 is slightly less, but it's still great because obviously everybody thinks that now isn't the season, especially for the East Snook, but that just tells you otherwise. St Andrews, 4 new properties made available while only 4 properties selling. What we had been seeing for a couple of weeks is more properties were selling than what was coming to the market. But obviously 1 week there has just been a shift change. As we always say, 1 week does not make a trend. It's just last week, obviously everybody thought that was the week to go. Likewise, it is still good that 4 properties went over the line. What I will say is this is resale homes only. This is nothing to do with any of the new build developments anywhere within Fife, just resale only. Levenmouth, another strong week, 7 versus 7. So lucky number 7. And again, the KY postcode is absolutely performing strong and really holding its own. And I am confident we will continue to see that week on, week out, month in, month out as we go throughout the year. And it's just because of the continued investment that's being put into the area and actually the positive impact it is having on the marketplace, because it is naturally making it a desirable area for people to gravitate towards because everything's here. You have the massive investment that's gone into the commuting links with your leaving train station and the Cameron Bridge. Obviously, all the infrastructure that's been doing around that, again, to make it more accessible. And then even just the leisure facilities that are available here. Obviously, the walks that you get, the beach, the prom, everything that's here, the golfing, your proximity to the East Neuk and St Andrews, it is a desirable area, and we're continuing to see that. Dunfermline is absolutely snapped back to where it always performs. Obviously, the first weeks of the year, it was a little bit quieter. Still, obviously, higher transaction numbers, but your 61 and 58 is where Dunfermline tends to sit around. So it is really snapped back up. It is naturally a higher transaction area, purely because of its proximity to Edinburgh and the bridge and the commuting that's made available. So it is always somewhere people gravitate towards this side of the bridge, where they get a lot more property for a lot less money than if we were to pick that up and put it in your EH postcode. Glenrothes 15 versus 16. So again, strong numbers in your Glenrothes area. And then Kirkcaldy 23 and 26. After Dunfermline, Kirkcaldy always tends to be your higher transaction number. So 23 and 26 in terms of new instructions versus properties sold. So that accounts for your 125 versus your 129. That was last week's only. So let's do a run through of January to see what was really happening, because that gives us a great insight into how we have kicked off 2026. So straight away, you can see 398 properties were made available in Fife on Rightmove with all agencies. Now, that is probably a number that you were not expecting, because everybody thinks that nobody's selling, there's not much happening, it's really quiet. But that's basically 400 new properties hit the marketplace in January versus 425 properties having offers accepted and now showing as sold, subject to concluded missives. So there was 425 active buyers in the marketplace. So when everybody hears, perhaps they listen to their family or their friends, or they have their own preconceived idea that January isn't the time to sell, or, I need to wait till spring, summer, this literally tells you the complete opposite. Because if you think, if this is what is happening in January and there's 425 buyers, imagine when it comes to spring, summer. So you're putting your property on the marketplace, and then think about the buyers that are going to be there, but also think about the demand and the supply. So just think, everybody's in that mindset that they need to wait till spring, summer. So there's going to be a lot more stock hitting the marketplace. So supply is absolutely going to be there. But what that means is buyers have a lot more choice. They tend to act a bit slower, because if they miss out on your property, they have all the other ones available. Likewise, because that they know they have so much supply, they're not as competitive with their offers unless it's something that's absolutely special and wonderful. But if there is other stock similar to that, then they're not going to put the best foot forward, because if they miss out on yours, they're just going to move on to the next one, because there is so much supply. So think of it that way. If you wait until the busiest time to go to market, it's just putting a lot more competition and a lot more pressure on yourself as well. So if you are looking to get moved, now is the time to go, because you're going to be beating the marketplace before all of that stock hits there. But it still shows you there is active buyers out there. Obviously, we're going to do a run through of what we were doing as an agency just last week, and it gives you an insight into footprints that are selling, price points that are selling, areas that are selling, because it is still a fantastic time to go to market, and it's putting you in that best position. Because as well, just thinking, I had this conversation with a client just last week. Yes, it's maybe the colder months, the quieter months. Perhaps people think it's not the time to sell. That doesn't mean to say circumstances and life stand still for people. Unfortunately, things still do take place that requires people to move, whether that be deceased estates, and there's obviously deaths within the family, whether it be separations, whether it be as well the positives, and people have obviously got exciting news that they're expecting and their family's growing, so they need to upsize. Perhaps they need to move locations for a new job. There's all these different contributing factors to people's personal circumstances that requires them to move. That doesn't stop just because it's quieter months and it's colder and it's maybe darker evenings. Life still goes on. Likewise, people still need property. So, absolutely, if you're looking to get moved, this just shows you in black and white why now is a fantastic time to go. Now, again, you can see it broken down into micro regions. Again, there will be some areas that will absolutely surprise people, like East Nuke, for example, 14 and 13. That is exactly the numbers that was happening in December, but on reverse. So in December for the East Nuke, it was 13 instructed versus 14 sold. So same numbers, but flipped the other way. But when people think the KY10 postcode, it's not the season for it, not much is happening, it's really quiet in the East Nuke. Absolutely not. 93% of the stock actually showed as sold. So that just tells you there. St Andrews 19 versus 15. Yes, obviously not as much sold than hit market, but still for the KY16 postcode to have 15 properties off the market and a little bit less stock available is absolutely a plus, and we are going to take that. It is going to take a while to obviously work through the stock that is in the KY16 postcode, thinking that that stems to obviously the likes of Guardbridge, Strathkinnis. Again, it's got that wide radius, and again, there is a lot of stock. Your average selling time for St Andrews, you need a little bit of patience because you can expect to be on the market from 5 to 6 months just with how much stock is there to work through. But we're going to take it as a positive that 15 properties had offers accepted on them. And then again, Dunfermline, that high transaction number, you probably weren't expecting there to be such high numbers, but that is just average and that is normal for Dunfermline. And we will only see that increase as we go through the months. And then, as I said, Kirkcaldy is your next one, 73 versus 87. So again, more property sold in Kirkcaldy than what was made available, but there is a lot more stock in Kirkcaldy. So it just means we're working through any previous stock from previous weeks, previous months. Because don't forget, there will obviously be stock sitting from last year. So we're just clearing through that, which is great because it means we're keeping it fresh. So if you want to discuss any of those other areas in more detail, please do reach out. We would obviously love to have that chat with you. But as you can see, there is a lot more buyers in the marketplace than there is stock coming to market. So I think that tells you all that you need to know for why now is the time to sell. So enough about the stats. Let's take a look at what we were doing in particular as an agency. So this is where we have properties now under offer. So we have accepted offers on them. Also, what we have got coming soon. So properties that Perry and I have been out to value and are coming to market with ourselves. And then also properties that have gone through that conveyancing stage, they have concluded. So we're now able to disclose what they went for, which obviously we can't do until we've gone through that process. So let's start with what we accepted offers on last week as an agency. And the first one is a fantastic result. It was a really popular property. As you can see, straight away it sold from social media, which was just fantastic. So this property hit pre-portal. Perry put it on the Saturday. We were inundated the Saturday, the Sunday, come the Monday. There was people calling up, looking to get viewings. And actually, the person that offered on this property saw it at pre-portal. They acted fast. And actually, they didn't even view the property. The video walkthrough that Perry did, so that pre-portal was so in detail and so in depth and showed them everything about the property. They offered. They absolutely loved the property and they did not want to run the risk of missing out on their next family home. So they offered. And it was an offer that the seller could not refuse, so it was accepted. So that property sold at social media before it even hit the Rightmove, the Zoopla, and the S1 Homes. And that is what we do differently. We secure your buyers and we get you the best price before it even hits Rightmove and Zoopla. So that was a fantastic result. Now, this one was Balnagowan Drive in Glenrothes. It's a 3-bedroom semi-detached, as you can see, corner plot, driveway, garage, and it was a moving condition property. It had stunning living spaces, a landscape rear garden, obviously the off-street parking. It's in a sought-after location, and again, that's why it was so popular, because it is walking distance to schooling, the college, sports facilities, the shops nearby in the retail park. You've got the town centre. Now, it was on the market for offers over 200,000. As I say, the buyer came forward with an offer that the seller couldn't refuse, which means they secured it. So That was sold at pre-portal, and as I said, there was a lot of people interested in that property. What does that mean? That means we have buyers that missed out. So if you have a property similar, whether it be within that street or neighboring streets, and you have something similar and you were considering a move, or not even considering, you are looking to move, then please do reach out, because there is people that we have literally on our database that just missed out on this, that are looking to get moved. So if you are looking to progress in your property journey and get results like this client, and also get a buyer that quickly, please do reach out. We can get Perry out to you. She can do your full walkthrough, valuation, discuss next steps on what she will need to do for you to get results just like this. So please do reach out. Next one was Baldini. So this is just outside Cooper, as if you were heading to perhaps St Andrews or the East Snook. So it was a 5-bedroom detached property. Large plot. You can't see that at the back there is a massive garden space. You have all of this to the front, garage, and actually there's an entrance here so you can drive in and drive out, which is really practical. As I say, you've got the garage. You then step inside and it is immaculate. It's on a great plot, yes, but also you're getting a lot of space inside, because actually above this garage is a converted space. So you could, if you wanted, create a separate annex. You've got views over the countryside. And as I mentioned, it's on the way to St Andrews and the East Snook. So you're approximately like 8 miles from St Andrews, about 5 miles into Cooper. So yes, you're getting that semi-rural lifestyle, but you still have easy commuting to obviously the towns and the local areas for amenities, schooling, commuting links, leisure facilities. So it really is a fantastic location. As I say, 5-bedroom, but as well, the living space. It's got a gorgeous open plan dining kitchen with patio doors out onto a decked area. So it really is a property that ticked all the boxes. Now, it was on the market for offers over 375,000. So you need to keep watching the shows and keep a lookout to see what offer was accepted. But the family is delighted that they are moving to the area and have secured that home. Next one, another actually 5-bedroom property, again detached. So there was obviously something in the area for family homes and 5-bed detached last week. This one was in Kirklands Park, Cooper. It is an extended property that is in moving condition, and again on a great size plot. So this is all of your driveway space to the front, and then you had a landscape garden to the rear with decking. It's got patio doors. So yes, it's been extended, but you've still got a really good plot size. So it's not like you have overextended. With this particular property, there was 1 level living, there was multiple bathrooms, and actually something you won't be expecting with this property is that it's actually an attic that could easily be converted into like a master ensuite bedroom. It could be a massive dressing room, games room, cinema room. So much potential to convert and create even more living space for you. But as it stands, it is a fantastic family home, and not very much comes up in Kirklands Park. Now, this particular property was on the market for offers over 290,000. So obviously you need to keep a lookout for what the offer was that was accepted on it. But the buyer is delighted to be upsizing and getting more outdoor space as well, which is just fantastic. Likewise, the seller is delighted that obviously they can move on with their journey. So that was another property sold. And then finally, we have one in Kirkcaldy. So this was Russell Place, and this particular property, and it was, as you went up the stairs here, it was the one to the right-hand side. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom masonette. So this particular property had had recent renovations done to it. So it was spacious and modern interiors. It had a really actually spacious contemporary shower room en suite. What I loved about this property is, yes, they had done renovations and it was modern and contemporary, but there were still gorgeous features in it. Like it had ceiling roses and it had the high ceilings and cornicing. So it still had those charming features while also being up to date and contemporary. What was great with this property is you did get outdoor garden space, and also you just can't quite see it, but there was off-street parking here. And then actually, if you went to the very top into one of the bedrooms, you could actually see over the rooftops, and then you were right over the Firth of Forth. So you did have stunning views from this one as well. Fantastic location. And for those that don't know where Russell Place is, you can literally walk to the train station, you can walk down to the high street, you can walk to the bus station. So it's a fantastic location. This particular property was on the market for offers over 175,000, and the new buyer is relocating, so they're delighted that they've been able to secure that property. So that is what we accepted offers on last week. Now we can discuss what we have got coming soon. So this is properties that Perry and I have been out to value and are going to be coming to our social media at pre-portal stage. First one is Bank Street in Cooper. So this particular property is a 3-bedroom terraced house. Now, Bank Street, for those that don't know, it is just down from the Bank Street Medical Group. You would go up there as well if you were heading out to perhaps Kearney and heading to Dundee to get to the A92. So it is on that main road, so it's fantastic for commuting and just getting around Cooper or out of Cooper. Standing outside, you would not realise what you are stepping into. Not only is it so much space, there is a massive floor area with it. It is stunning. The interiors that have been done in this property are just beautiful, and I can't wait to show this one. I'm there tomorrow to do the pre-portal, so it'll be on our Cooper said social media on Wednesday, and it is a 3-bedroom terrace property, and it has got outdoor garden space. It's completely private and is a sun trapped, and there is so much living space with this home. And honestly, wait until you see the interiors. It is just stunning. Next is Main Street, Methil Hill. Now, actually, Perry did the pre-portal for this one yesterday. So if you go to our leave-in page, you will see Perry's complete walkthrough of this property, and it's a 3-bedroom detached bungalow. So if you are looking for that one-level living, and I've heard that it is really, really good standard, and you will see that as you watch the video walkthrough as well. So do go and watch that one if you are looking to be in the KY area and you're looking for a bungalow. Now, pre-portal, it's where it's a full video walkthrough of the property. It's almost like a virtual viewing before it hits the Rightmove, the Zoopla, and S1 Homes. So if you see the words pre-portal and the agent's face, watch that full video. We show you the whole interior, exterior, we talk you through the location, and then at the very end, we tell you the price point we predict it to come to market at. If it is something that ticks your boxes, then you need to act fast. Just like the property that sold in Glenrothes from social media, you do just have a couple of days to get in there and potentially secure this property before it goes to the wider portals. If you want more clarity on that and you want to discuss that process, reach out to us. We will guide you through what that looks like. But the key is to be following the social media pages so that you do not miss out on any homes that we have coming to market. Now, completed properties. So this is gone through the conveyancing stage and are going to obviously now disclose what offers were accepted on them. So the first one was Southcroft Dyke in Ceres. It was a 5-bedroom extended detached property in moving condition, offering flexible living space with spacious interiors. Now, this particular property, actually, let me just have a double check for you. I don't believe that is right. Let's have a little look. Southcroft. Let's have a little look. In fact, let's just move on to the next one, which was Links Road in Leven. This one was a 5-bedroom family home in a sought-after location, end terraced. It had sea views right across the Firth of Forth, many original features, which was fantastic. Also, what was great was the opportunity to add value. Sold for 320,000, so a great price point. And the new buyer is absolutely loving the location because those that aren't perhaps aware, you are right on the beach. You've obviously got the golf courses, you have got the beach, you've got the Fife Coastal Path. And what's great is, especially in the summer months, just think about obviously walking along and you are at the cruiser. You've got everything there. So it is just fantastic, and that is a fantastic location to be in, especially come the spring and summer months. So let's have a look. Right, so back to the Southcroft one. So this particular property was actually a 2-bedroom mid-terrace cottage. It had a beautiful country garden. It was an elevated plot, and obviously for those that know Ceres, it really is an idyllic village, but also fantastic for commuting. So that one was a really popular one. Now that went for 262,000, which was a fantastic result. That is 12,000 over the home report value. So obviously the seller is delighted. They were secured their buyer and got 12,000 over home report. Likewise, the buyer is delighted because they have secured a beautiful home in a sought after location. Next property was Denwalk in Methil. This particular property was a 2-bedroom upper apartment. Fantastic opportunity to add value, really put the stamp on it. It was a popular buy-to-let property. Likewise, it's a popular buy-to-let area. Again, just because of everything that's in close proximity. And this particular property sold for 52,000. The buyer is delighted for their project. Likewise, the seller is delighted that they were able to offload it. So that is what was completed and went through the conveyancing stage last week. Before we do a roundup, let's take a look at what shows took place, just so we know what to go back and rewatch. So as always, you have the Wealth Creation show. So this is where you obviously have Richard Cook, the lettings director, and Jim Parker, one of the UK's most successful property investors. And they are on hand discussing, obviously, a new topic every week. And yesterday's was getting a grip of yourself. Getting a grip of yourself, the show where they talk about one thing that determines your success more than money, more than talent or opportunity, and that's you. The session is about personal control, mental discipline, and habits that perhaps separate those who struggle financially to those that build that lasting wealth. They explored why most people stay stuck, how your daily decisions shape your financial future, and why mastering yourself is the first and most important step to mastering money. If that is something that really does appeal to you, then definitely go back and watch that show. As I say, it's Richard and Jim doing it. Likewise, if you have any questions, they would be more than delighted to chat with you. So please do put anything on that post. Another show that you may wish to watch, especially if you are a landlord or you're considering starting out and going down the avenue, then it was about buying a tenanted home and the risks and rewards for landlords. Because if you're perhaps looking to start or expand your current rental portfolio, buying a tenanted home can be attractive, smooth, and a chain-free proposition. And actually, we have done some tenanted sales recently. So they are obviously out there. People perhaps don't believe that we do them or don't think that it is an option. They absolutely are. So please do reach out. It's something you are wishing to discuss further or perhaps explore, because it can absolutely be done. Some private landlords obviously sell up. Others with newer business models are taking advantage of the shortage of rental homes and the constant high demand from tenants. Buying a tenanted home means immediate income from the day that you complete, and bypassing that perhaps time-consuming task of renovating, marketing, and finding new tenants from scratch. It's already done for you. Again, Jim Parker and Richard Cook are on hand discussing that topic, giving you tips on saving time, how to inherit a tenanted property, and obviously what that means for you in terms of what responsibilities you have, and perhaps any mistakes to look out for. So that's definitely a show to go back and watch. So that is everything for this week's update. Obviously, we will see you next week for another update. But if there's any questions, because obviously that's been a lot of information, please do reach out and we'll be more than happy to have a chat with you. But for now, all the best. We will see you throughout the week and take care. Bye for now.